Hello, and thank you for joining us again for the Emagia AI for Finance podcast. I'm Brian Chappell, your Director of Content Strategy here at Emagia. We're back with another bi-monthly episode. We're very excited this week to have Jennifer Walsh from NACM Commercial Services. She is based out in Washington State and is one of the largest affiliates of the NACM network. Jennifer has been with this affiliate for 15 plus years now. I remember you from my days at Credit Congress a long time ago in a former life when I was in credit. But yeah, if you could just walk us through a little bit about what you do for your membership out there and your experience in credit before you kind of made the step into association work.
Well, thanks for having me on, Brian. It's good to be with you again, and certainly nice to have you back in the credit field again. So time flies when you're having fun, doesn't it?
It does.
So I started my career in commercial banking, mainly working in secured loans. And then in about 2007, I thought, the unsecured transaction side looked intriguing. So I joined NACM to lead an affiliate in the Northwest. And I've been working with NACM for about 17 years now, so time sure does fly.
Wow, yeah.
Through those years, we've merged and acquired different NACM affiliates, which has expanded our membership reach, and we're growing with companies that we're servicing every year. So it's been a great time to be at NACM. We're working mainly in 9 states in the Western U.S., and it's been an exciting time to be here, and we're really making a difference in the credit community, and I love the job.
Okay, great. And yeah, I remember all the times like running into you. It seemed like at all those conferences you always had little groups around you, whether it was colleagues that wanted to know what you were up to or what you were thinking, or you'd always have time for sort of the new kids coming up that needed to sort of be showed showed the ropes a little bit. So generally speaking, just there's always somebody looking for your time. So I appreciate you taking out a little bit for us today because I know you're super busy.
We always have a different level of credit, skills coming to us at all different stages of their careers. And it's fun. I really enjoy the relationships and building that community and kind of mentors learning from other mentors. It's it's really great exercise. It's an important role for us to take to promote all the credit positions that are out there. So that Credit Congress is a perfect spot for that, isn't it?
Okay, so right now it's a very transitional time with a lot of technology coming in for finance, for credit, for really everything that anyone in this industry is kind of focused on. What are you looking to get across most to your membership this year from your role as a lot of sort of newer doors are opening as far as technology?
Gosh, we have so many good projects going on at NACM Commercial Services this year. I'd say our largest focus is a few things. We're expanding our outreach to the younger credit professional. We're really encouraging their participation and just really having an open door policy for them to use the association for whatever kind of unique questions that come up on a daily basis. We're doing a lot of educating on automation tools available to help credit positions be more of a driving force inside companies. Those are our largest focuses this year, is just really talking about automation, talking about AI tools, and just making credit people more comfortable with those topics.
Right. Now that's a great segue into what I was going to kind of ask about, because at least from our perspective and a lot of other folks that we talk about at industry shows and in shared services or at the CFO level or at the credit director and manager level, 2023 seemed like the year that everybody all of a sudden finally was willing to talk about AI and just acknowledge its existence and automation. I remember before I left NACM, writing a couple articles about AI and automation and having people just not happy about even talking about it. Um, and just seeing people in other industries call it things like job killer, and all of a sudden last year it seemed like that changed. Maybe it was ChatGPT, maybe it was other advances, but it seemed like people were ready to at least kick the tires, have the conversations like, well, what can this do to make our company better? What can this do to make my life better as just a 40, or for most of us 60-hour week employee instead of 40? Is that sort of the kind of things that you were seeing? Like, did you just see this big jump, like all of a sudden this is a trend?
We definitely did. And I think automation tools have really helped kind of fast forward that, where before everything in a credit function was, pretty manual. There's a lot of investigation, there's a lot of independent research and analysis, and a credit position has to go a lot of different places to gather all the data to make a good credit decision. And then automation started to be built into some applications and tools. And I think the first year we saw credit people be like, no, no, don't bring that to our position. But, eventually there
Yeah.
was some just a kind of a green light almost. And I think that that's almost in the everyday conversation now. And perhaps that's made AI more acceptable than it would have been otherwise.
So now people are at least talking about it. What is the next step? Is the next step, implementation, or are people, out there meeting with companies like Emagia and others, or are people trying to figure out how to do this on their own? Like, what makes 2024 different than 2023 in regards to people's sort of, not just attitudes, but actions regarding, things like AI and autonomous finance?
Well, I definitely think the door is open. They're more open to the conversation than they've ever been before. At NACM Commercial Services, we've really taken the stand of just being cautious. Be open but be cautious. And I would say credit positions are built differently than sales or marketing jobs or anything like that. And as a community, we train them to be very cautious in their credit decision making, and really protective of the data and information that they gather on a debtor. So for those reasons, I do think credit professionals have been going into that AI and automation world very cautiously. Um, we've taken a stand early on that educating the credit professional and even our own staff is most important. Really talking about the applications and just getting good conversations going so that they understand the opportunities, and also, I mean, honestly, the pitfalls that are just as important. Um, we brought in legal counsel to educate our own staff early on, and we also engaged with firms like KPMG and Lowenstein Sandler, and we created educational programs that we've been presenting out to the membership as well. I've been amazed how many national groups and even regional groups now are requesting education around AI. Everybody wants to know more, and know how it can make a difference in their jobs. It's encouraging, actually. But the best thing we can do is just talk about it with the membership and make them more aware of the tools they have right in front of them.
That's great. And you mentioned the cautiousness that's sort of baked into the industry as a feature, as a way of making people better at their jobs, given what credit people do. Um, is that Does that build in any obstacles, or are there some other obstacles, and as you said yourself, pitfalls, that you've been seeing, that people out in the business and yourself are kind of concerned about going forward, that's maybe slowing the embrace of the technology?
I think so. I think credit professionals are trained to be cautious. In all facets of what they do as a profession. They're trained just to be a little bit more on the conservative side of things. I think it's important for a user to understand, while the tools appear slick and easy to use, the data you send out there is now available to the world, and so they have to be careful what they're sending out there and how they're using the tools. We can't stress that to the membership enough. We feel companies should be talking to their staff so internal personnel understands their employer's position on AI, and so that they can act accordingly. And right now, I think companies are just in the midst of trying to figure out what, how they feel about AI and how they want to use it. But an internal policy would really make sure that there are boundaries set and kind of around the use of the applications. And then one of the other cautions we share is the fact that not everything that comes out of Chat GPT or AI is accurate. So I honestly, in the long stretch, I don't see the applications making sound credit decisions for a credit manager. I certainly think there's uses and good benefits to them, but I still think there's a need for independent credit decision making.
Right, and it's sort of like the old computer science class, garbage in, garbage out adage
Yeah,
that
yeah,
was out there.
for sure.
You have to sort of depend on the information and know what's going into what it's spitting it out. That's why things like we have like GPT that was designed specifically for finance people as sort of an answer to Chat GPT. But the way we did it is it's not pulling in any public cloud information. You upload the documents and you upload the, spreadsheets that you want to pull from, and it only pulls from that. So it doesn't so if your data is good, it's up to you. If your data is bad, it's also on you, sort of thing. But yeah, in talking with Wanda Borges 2 weeks ago, just there's a lot of pitfalls in just bad information being out there, and that's why I think a lot of the better providers in this space aren't looking at these tools and solutions that are out there as replacements for CFOs, treasurers, credit people, but more as co-pilots, as one company's branded it, or as just a digital assistant to kind of help you through your day and maybe cut down on the amount of hours you're spending on this mundane stuff and spending that time on stuff that really kind of moves the needle.
It makes it so much more comfortable, doesn't it, Brian, to be like, it feels a little bit protected, like using an application like Emagia is put together. I feel so much more comfortable suggesting that somebody use that to make efficiencies out of their day. I mean, that's a gift that we can give to a credit person, but they have to feel like they're in a protected environment to do that. So
Right, right. So, we've talked about some obstacles and some worries. Um, let's talk about some of the successes that, if you're seeing some with people now, would love to hear about those, or just where you think this can go in the next year. What's some low-hanging fruit that credit people can use, AI-based automation and generative AI to kind of really kickstart a few things in their companies, as far as efficiency goes.
I view us all as elementary school users of the application still. I think we're all still trying to figure out how it's going to work best for us and where we should put our efforts in to gain those efficiencies. I think everyday tasks is a great way to start. We use it for suggestions on different writing styles. I've seen members use it for like easy public record research and information. Just getting comfortable, using it for simple tasks like that, I think is a great way to start. Ultimately, I'd love to see the credit profession, that job function become more just easier all the way around with less research and investigation needed on, every single credit application that they receive. It'd be great to ultimately see a credit person's routine tasks just become a little bit easier and so that they can spend more time on improving cash flow and working with sales and C-suite management, growing the business on that side of things. It's important to us as an association that we're always promoting those credit functions and the importance of the credit role in every company. So if they can gain some efficiencies through AI, absolutely, I think it's a good thing.
Okay. Have you had conversations with anybody that, that it's just blown you away that they've switched from being very just so anti AI and we're just very old school to now all of a sudden they want to talk about it? Has that kind of moment happened at all for you?
I don't have any aha moments that you might be looking for. I'll just say that we work with all different generations of credit people, and certainly the younger generation is a little bit more open to the idea. And we've seen a slow transition of what I'll call a seasoned credit person, somebody that's been around and has the routines of a credit job really down pat. We've actually seen some really good conversations going on in our industry groups, talking about AI and just kind of researching and investigating the use inside their companies. So I think there's a lot of conversation going on in our membership around the topic, but I haven't seen any big aha moments yet. So I'm looking forward to that.
How much do you think, a lot of new blood coming into the credit job function is sort of helpful in these conversations happening now versus, a few years ago? Because it does seem like there are a lot of folks I remember heading towards retirement now. So there's not just a transition in technology going out there for all business in this very specific, niche of industries. It seems like there's a big place for people to kind of step up and step in at the same time that technology is changing. So does that sort of younger, credit professional movement have an impact on where things are going right now?
I certainly think it does. For the longest time, we saw not very many young faces among the membership of NACM. We would have gatherings, and there'd be very few of the younger professional in the room, but that is certainly changing in the last few years. We see a lot of younger faces. We see some really interested and new energy coming into the credit profession, and I think that will fast track, the automation tools considerations and the use of AI, and just I think that they'll be more open and more interested in those applications. So it's a place where NACM is spending quite a bit of time.
Okay, so let's picture we're 1 year from now, 1 year from today, we're talking again in this very scenario. What is your prediction of what you're going to look back and see this year that unfolds that's coming? What do you think we're going to look back and be talking about most where AI is related to credit and finance? And what's your hope if the hope and the prediction are two different things?
Well, I can tell you right now, in every conversation that we have, we're having some conversation about automation. It might be just the most elementary conversation, that you might imagine, and it might be very advanced. So we're constantly trying to keep our pulse on the tools that are available, and trying to have those resources available and those good conversations available to our membership as they come in with the questions. So if I take today and fast forward a year, sometimes it takes a little while for things to sink in and get some comfort level. Certainly when you have C-suite management that might be opposed to even the use of it at all, it might take a bit of time to be talking about it in these companies. But if we fast forward a year, I could see new applications coming in to companies, for efficiency use. Just being able to do more with less is always the way companies are going. And I think AI could definitely be a tool for that.
Okay. And the sort of implementation or embrace or interest in this, whatever you want to call it, for some group like yours, you have members in very rural areas, you have members in very high city, high density city areas, you have people in fast moving businesses, you have people in very old school, sort of slow moving, we're very late to even go past paper credit applications kind of members. Do What does that do for you when there's a big change coming and you have to kind of reach out to these very different stakeholders? How does that sort of affect the way you make stuff like AI based education available, or educate people about hey, this tool can help you. How does that work? I'm curious. Seems like a lot of juggling.
It's a lot of juggling, Brian. NACM is an organization that we want every level of credit person to make use of. And so we kind of have to be all to all. Right now we're doing a lot of educating on AI. We're sharing automation tools, suggestions, considerations. We're having all those conversations and we're educating on all of that. But we're also still educating on the value of a credit application, the terms and conditions, just the very elementary ABCs of extending credit. And we're going to have to continue to do that because there are certain industries, you're 100% right, that are like, no, we're not introducing that into our company. They don't feel safe. And there are the extreme opposite of that. We have members that are just embracing it and running with it. So we kind of have to, continue to service all levels of knowledge and comfort levels, and, where a company wants to do business at, we have to be.
Okay. Well, do you have any parting shots or any or do you want to put a vendor in the AI software space on the spot here for a moment? I'll just give you the mic and let you sort of do what you want here.
Well, I'm curious, are you using ChatGPT?
I do use ChatGPT. It's actually funny because as you know, most people on that are listening are newer, so they probably haven't been aware of this. But I mean, the first 15, 20 years of my career, I was a writer by profession. So when I started here, this was the first job where really like AI was a big part of the job that I was doing. Um, so I remember my CEO Vina Gundavelli, who I'm sure you've met, brilliant, great development mind and whatnot. I remember I had to write a couple of new things and blogs and whatever. And she's like, "Oh, did you run it through ChatGPT?" And I was like, "What? I'm a writer." She's like, "Yeah, just run it through." So yes, I started using it, and even as somebody who was a professional writer, I was surprised at how good it can be at times. That said, it did reaffirm my belief and my lack of panic that this is a job killer because it's like, okay, it still needs me to smooth out some edges. There's still things it doesn't get. There's still some nuances ChatGPT doesn't grasp. But if I was starting something from scratch and I had writer's block and I didn't know where to go with it, or I didn't have a lot of expertise on something and I just needed an idea to start with, ChatGPT is a great place to start, especially if you use it for a little while and you get comfortable with the prompts. And the better the question you ask for it to generate something, the better it will give you as far as a product goes. And then you can kind of use that as an outline and take what you want and leave what you don't. But I did find it fascinating that it was better than I expected. I expected to be able to be sort of like the contrarian ex-writer, like, oh, I don't, nobody needs this. It's just a scam. But it's pretty good, and it keeps getting better because of machine learning. So I recommend people trying it, and I mean it's part of why we created GeoGPT because it was like, well, we don't really have one just for finance and just for going through documents and saving people time that way. So some people that use it really like that. Have you used ChatGPT much?
I told you earlier, I think that we're elementary users, and I view myself as that. I definitely use it, and the more I use it, the more I like it. But it's for the idea generation, it's fantastic. And I tell our members, it could help you write a collection letter. It could give you ideas for, how you want your credit policy written. Some very safe ways to play with it are really great starters. I love it for writing style suggestions. But I've noticed in our staff meetings that our employees are saying, "Hey, let's put it in AI and see what they say." And so it reminds me back when Google became a hot topic, and now it's such a common application. Everybody goes
Right,
to
yeah.
Google to find out all sorts of information. And I think ChatGPT and AI are going to be the same. They're going to be just the most common thing that you go to find information out. So I definitely use it. I like it. I should push myself to use it more, I think, because there's definitely some assistance out there. Something that could take you, simple thing that could take you 10 minutes to write, you could have it in just a few seconds,
Yeah. No, and I think whether you're using it a lot or using it a little, anyone who's in the AI space or very pro just wanting AI to grow, should be super thankful for its existence, just because it's like we have a Kleenex or a Coke of AI now, whereas there wasn't before. It's like some, people be like, oh, I'll have a Coke, and they bring them a Pepsi, or oh, you don't ask for a tissue paper, you ask for a Kleenex, and it can be some other brand, but it's something out there that's sort of the beacon brand that made everybody kind of take a look at it, and now I think some people kind of like use that interchangeably, sometimes incorrectly with AI, and that's okay. It gives some opportunities to educate and to kind of forward the conversation with people that want to forward it. But like any technology, there will be the last holdouts. I remember, trying to deal with my mom in email like 2 years ago, and it's the 2020s now. So, but
Well, that's a
these,
great thing. That's the great thing about AI is,
yeah,
you could put something in and you can take what you like and you can leave what you don't. It's just there and you can use it how you want to use it. I
yeah.
appreciate that part of it.
Yeah, it's funny. I like my mom will use AI based technology more than she'll use email, because like we got her one of those, little Alexa like things that show all like the kids' pictures, and she'll just be like, "Hey, play me some songs I like." Well, over time, you get to say, skip this, skip
Mhm.
that. It kind of learns exactly what you like, so it starts making these playlists where it's just like, oh wow, they basically, it's basically making you a radio station based on what you're reacting to. So it's
Yeah.
or just what you're leaving on for the entire thing, as opposed to like turn it off or whatever. So it's fascinating that there are more people using AI than think they're using AI, and that's a pretty cool thing, because I think that kind of gives people inroads to get them to use it more. But again, using it right. Like, we talk about people writing, and I was talking about a court case with Wanda Board just 2 weeks ago, and she was like, "Yeah, somebody just ran their brief through Chat GPT, and nobody double checked it, and they presented it in court, and it came up with completely like incorrect cases, like that never existed, just based on some errant information that was out there." So those people got into some trouble, and I'm sure there's people in school writing term papers that are going to get in trouble, and some workers in credit and whatever other finance function that are going to get in trouble because they're going to overuse it. But again, co-pilot or assistant is the word, and that's a good thing, because we don't want something to take all the jobs away. So we just all want to get better at our jobs. So I think I read a great quote. I think it was from either Gartner or Deloitte, that it was, AI is not going to take your job, but somebody who learned how to use AI is going to take your job if you didn't. And I thought that was really poignant. So
Yeah, such a good statement. I think it's so true. I'm really enjoying it. I just am sitting back. I'm anxious to see where we're at in a year, with everybody's comfort level and how people are using it, how companies are adopting, the use of it inside their organizations. It's kind of a turning moment for us.
yeah, well, you know what? Well, maybe we'll have you back in a year, and you can give us a little update and tell us how folks are doing in Washington and Nevada and California and your 6 other states. So.
Well, it's been nice to chat with you, Brian.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us, and thank you all for listening. We'll be back again in 2 weeks with another episode. In the meantime, just check out our website, Emagia.com, and yeah, have a great day.